Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. You ever had a drawer come off the tracks when you pull it out? Well, imagine an industrial sized drawer coming off an industrial sized track. A metal drawer, by the way. Stick around and we'll see how we fix that. So this is a metal drawer coming off the tracks. As you can see here, the rollers are totally off the tracks, and that's been quite a hassle lifting it back onto the tracks when it's full of scrap metal. Man, that thing gets heavy. The other side's fine, but it's that side we need to fix. So I found a piece of steel C-channel bar identical to the one in there already to use as a reference to take measurements. I'm gonna cut it to length and weld it to the existing track, essentially extending the bottom part of the track horizontally to catch the rollers and have them sit on it and roll back and forth nice and smooth. I'm using a metal scribe to make my marks because the sharp point of the scribe is way more accurate and precise than a marker. And it's easier to locate your mark if you make it like an arrowhead or an angle instead of a straight line, as I'm doing here. I'm using a speed square to start the cutting line. Speed squares are great for this. Then of course, I'm gonna find a straight edge that spans the length of the bar to finish it off. After I clamp it in the vise, I start cutting. By the way, guys, you gotta get a vise. These things are lifesavers, must-haves. After I make my cuts, I run the material over with a flap disc to get rid of any jagged edges left by the cutting wheel. Those things are dangerous. Only thing worse than a wood splinter is a metal splinter. Angle grinders are also one of those must-have tools, especially if you're working with metal. Always make sure that your work is secure before using one. Make sure you clamp it down tightly in the vise, depending on the metal. Not too tight if it's softer or thinner metals, or even thin gauge steel or aluminum, because you don't want to warp or dent it. But this 1/8" steel bar can take it. Grip the grinder nice and tight with both hands. No one-handers if you can avoid it, because you want both hands at the end of the day and not injure anyone else. But if you're using a grinder without a guard around the blade like I am, make sure that you keep your hands far away from that blade, because all it takes is a slight distraction or turn of the head to slip up and get your hand sliced with that grinder. You don't want that. So I'm almost done cutting, but the bar is a little too close to the drawer. I'm gonna give it a little bit of breathing room on that right edge there so it won't be slowing the sliding action of the drawer. Okay, everything's measured and cut for fit up, but before I fit up the piece on the existing piece for welding, I'm gonna grind out bevel grooves along the length of the edge that will contact the existing track. I do that because if I butt up the piece against the existing piece without the bevel grooves, the welds won't achieve a deep enough penetration to make it a strong weld. So bevel grooves are like valleys that the molten metal can pour into easier, coalescing and solidifying more surface area in the groove. Okay, the fit up is done. I decided to MIG weld the joints even though I'm outdoors, which is not that great for MIG welding because the shielding gas can get blown away by wind or drafts and expose the welding art to contaminants, resulting in a bad weld. But I decided to shield the weld area with the metal drawer itself, and because the area is mostly shielded anyway due to the fact that it's inside an enclosure underneath the trailer, I figured I'd be fine. Here's a trick for cutting wire anytime you're using a wire feed system like MIG welding or flux core. Take your MIG pliers and use the lower, bigger, rounded opening on one side of the plier. Place that over your nozzle until it touches. Snip your wire and have that 3/8 inch stick out of wire every time. All right, guys, so that's how I took care of that metal track that metal drawer had to go into and come out of. All I needed was an angle grinder and a welder, right? Hope you learned a little bit about MIG welding. Hope you learned something about angle finders and how to use them. So guys, if you like what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button, share it with everybody you know, and I'll see you next time.